Really quick question for you. I love this because I hear, tell stories all the time when it comes to sales. What would you suggest in regards to us becoming better storytellers? A marketing class? Is it using Chat GPT? What does that look like for you?
I literally question myself. So if let's say so 2 weeks from now, we are doing a training that on this on Chat GPT, right? So instead of going on there and saying, hey guys, if you want to figure out how to use Chat GPT, join my training, it's going to be on the 31st or whatever, right? Instead of doing that, I'm going to sit down and be like, okay, what am I going to teach? Who would want to learn it? What has happened to me? Why I got Chat GPT? How do we actually use it? What has happened since we used it? Right? And then I'm like, oh, you know what would be the best? It would be the best if I explain people that, or if I showed them how Chat GPT types up in my language, like in my tone of voice, right? So then I might screen record, right? I say, hey guys, I'm going to show you super quick how I taught my Chat GPT to do this, right? And then I'm going to put the video screen on the computer and I'm going to type up, hey, Chat GPT, I'm going to give you the instructions. I'm doing a webinar on the 19th, and this webinar is about how to use Chat GPT. And I'm going to, my target audience is this, and the training is that. Make sure the link is included, yada, yada, right? And then I'm going to video that, how that's happening, right? And then I'm going to put the camera back on myself again and say, hey guys, if you want to learn how to use Chat GPT properly, and how it can write you the same blah, 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 just come to the training, right? Or I might say, you know what? Saeed has been with me for over 3.5 years. He's my longest VA, and he's been with me for 3.5 years. He's all the way from Pakistan. I pay Saeed hourly, but I also pay Saeed to learn anything that I need to, or I so said want to specialize in. So recently I got this training for Saeed. So he got really freaking good at ChatGPT, and he taught ChatGPT how to sound like me. So what he did is he took all of my social media posts, like every post that I made in the last 2 years, and he's uploaded it into my ChatGPT into one of those chapters or whatever that's called. So now we have one that's called Gogo's Voice. Every time my team needs to write me a blog, needs to write me an email, needs to write me a Facebook post, a Facebook ad, they use Gogo's Voice so that it sounds like me. If you want to learn how to do this, just comment the word ChatGPT and I'll see you on the 19th. Right? A story every time. And if you don't know what story to tell, then you're freaking going to sit there until you figure it out. Right? You're going to be like, okay, just literally write this down, put it on a sticky note and stick it to your computer and say story first. And you're not going to make a post until you have a story for whatever you're selling. And then eventually you're going to get into the habit of that, right? You don't want to go straight to the close. Just like imagine if you and me were dating. Like we wouldn't, because I'm married to a man and you're married to a man. Right? But if you and me were, let's say, sitting at a bar and we met, right? And you were straight, right? And you would want to date me. You're not going to go straight for the close and be like, you want to marry me? Like you would be like, okay, hold on a minute. My name is Lavert. I've been in this world. This is what I bring to the table. Would you like to go out on a date? Right? Like that's how you always want. You can't go straight to the altar, right? We had to get to know each other first. So that's the same with marketing. You want to know, you want to introduce, you want to find, and that story is what going to allow them to find something in common with you. When they find something, I say this quote all the time. When you allow people to get to know you, they will love you. When they love you, they will trust you. And when they trust you, they'll buy anything that you're selling. So allow them to get to know you through stories. So here is a buyer example. Start with a success story, for example. Maybe you recently had a buyer who had a hard time getting finance and you just handed them the keys, right? And then you tell the story how that happened. Now, there might be somebody on the other end of that video who's like, oh my gosh, we've been going through this process of trying to get finance and we couldn't get finance. So how did you get this person finance, right? Now you're going to say, calling a house hunters, if you are in the market, blah, 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 just comment the word buyer, right? Story first. So that's an example for it. Here's a seller example. Start with the story, for example. Let's say you have this out-of-state seller, like myself, you pretty much did everything for them and had a very successful closing. Like we just bought a house in Greenville, South Carolina, never been there, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, town home, brand new construction, never visited it. I saw it online, found a local realtor, she did the tour, she does the final walkthrough, she does it all for us, right? So you want to look at what seller story do you have that just happened recently that you can share with someone, and then they say, hey, if you would like to have an experience just like this, just comment the word seller.